others. You can mourn through others. You know this old institution of weepers. Women you buy so that they cry for you. We have it today, again. People can laugh for us. Much more interesting, people can believe for us. I claim that in our ambiguous times, that's the structure of belief. It's no longer I believe, it's I don't believe, but it makes me feel good that I know that another, who can be, I don't know, my children usually, that they believe. I want another to believe naively for me. We even believe through others. Not to mention the fact that we enjoy through others. Again, that's the whole structure which makes pornography so oppressive. I mean, I don't have anything against sex, but precisely because of this, I think, did you notice what a strange phenomenon pornography is? I think it's effectively the most heavily censored genre. Why? Did you notice one fundamental strange thing, at least with classical hardcore pornography? The utter stupidity of the story which introduces sex. It's so vulgar that I think it's a necessity. You know, like, why can't they do it a little bit more convincing? Like, once I saw one, I remember, where it starts with the housewife is alone at home, then a plumber comes and fixes there, and then the wife says, but I have another hole, can you also fix? I mean, you are embarrassed. I think there is a deep taboo there that they respect. What is prohibited is to see it all, sex and so on, and to have an emotionally engaging story. It is as if, okay, you will see it all, but you will pay the price by not being able to identify it, so that the stupidity of... And today it goes on. I learned that the most popular new trend in hardcore pornography is so-called, I think they call it gonzo or what, where actors don't pretend that they are really having a passionate affair, but they all the time address the camera, make fun of it, and so on, you know, so that you refer to it as kind of a comical staging and so on. This is, I claim, the deepest censorship that you can imagine and so on. So again, back to your question, I didn't lose my thread, is that yes, it's very difficult thing. Perhaps more than ever, it's difficult to enjoy today. We enjoy, but as I always repeat in my books, we enjoy in censored forms. No, you have milk. Sorry, you have. I don't know. You have beer, but without alcohol. You have coffee without caffeine. You have sugar. You have ice cream without sugar, and so on and so on. As if, you know, the thing has to be deprived of its substance in a way. I think that even in this sense, consumerism is a misnomer, a false term. Direct consumption is the horror today. Who are those who really directly consume? Drugs addicts. This is why they are such a scare today. I even wrote in my Lenin book, of all things, that I find suspicious this obsession with smoking. I mean, I don't smoke. But I find it deeply suspicious, this fear of smoking, as if it's, how can they do it in this uncontrolled way, something potentially mortal, and so on and so on. Again, I think that we live beneath the mask of hedonism. We live in a deeply oppressive, regulated society. We are also, in a way, hedonists. I mean, it's easy to make fun of, for example, my favorite story, I love it, Taliban, when they were in power, you know that they prohibited women to wear on their shoes metal heels. You know what? The idea is, even if the woman is totally covered, when she walks on stone, the metal heels make loud clicks, and this may arouse men too much. Okay, my first reaction was, what a wonderful sexualized society where even this turns you on and explodes. But are we really so different? Isn't it that for radical political correctness, it's almost the same, of course, at a totally different level, that, you know, this eternal fear of being harassed, there also brutal wild sexuality is presented as something to be totally controlled, and so on and so on. No, as to these left demonstrations that you mention, yes, absolutely. It looks that I will maybe intervene at them, so I just hope that the message will be given. Why? Let me make one point clear. I consider myself radical left, but I'm not in any way primitively anti-American. I'm even deeply suspicious of recent anti-Americanism. I'm not saying this as a leftist hypocrisy. When I say that one should oppose United States often, literally for their own good. Look at this crazy paradox. United States intervened in Iraq. Why? To bring their democracy, to diminish religious fundamentalism, and to protect, contain Iran. Now, what is now happening? The true tragedy is not 10, 15, whatever death every day. The true tragedy is, do you know, and I didn't read this in any crazy leftist journal, I read this in New York Times, my God. Do you know that in the last years, after the fall of Saddam, around 3 million people left Iraq? Most of them precisely this secular middle class, doctors, lawyers, and so on. The people without whom you cannot even imagine a secular democracy. So, and concerning Iran, Americans knew, and that's their deadlock, that if they withdrew now in free elections, the winners will be the pro-Iranian Shia. That is to say, paradoxically, Iran, the presence of what they effectively achieved in Iraq is A, purge the country of those secular middle classes, educated middle classes, who are the only ones to bring some kind of westernized democracy, and point to incredibly strengthened the role of Iran there. That's, I mean, that's the tragedy of the United States. They are hurting them. They are hurting themselves. I mean, and they can drag all of us into it. I think quite sincerely that how to put it, if I were to be this kind of a cheap leftist, anything that hurts the United States, it's good, then we should support Bush. I mean, 8 more years of somebody like Bush, and United States, everybody knows what's happening today. United States are basically losing. The world is slowly turning into a multicentric global capitalism. And United States did all possible mistakes here, I think. Like, as I like to do, you remember that old ecological motto, think globally, act locally. United States, unfortunately, think locally and act globally. We are paying the price for it. You know? I'm sorry if I was too long, but at least now, from this over-long answer from me, you understand why some of my friends call me Fidel, you know, like Fidel Castro, you know, like comrades 5 minutes and then 7 hours.
Very glad that you mentioned culture, guns and war in the end of your lecture. Nowadays in Czech Republic we have a hot public discussion because the United States want to build here a military base with a radar, and both sides, those who are for this radar base and also those who are against this radar base, both sides talk about war against terrorism or a new Cold War. So how should we deal with this notion of war or this war rhetoric?
You know what's only my problem here? Maybe you will not agree with this, but